Chapter 5, Motivating Behavior. Chapter 5 is full of information. If you have previewed my PowerPoint, you will see that it's approximately 42 slides. I will try to keep this video short and simple and just highlight the key components of Chapter 5. Chapter 5 starts off with explaining what motivation is. It also provides an equation. I have included that in the PowerPoint. It moves on to talk about the historical views of motivation in an organization. Those three historical views are traditional approach, human relation approach, human resource approach. The basic difference is traditional approach basically states that money is the motivator. Human resource approach states that a person would like to make valuable contributions which are valuable to the person and the organization. Human relations states that it's a social relationship that's the motivator. The chapter then explains task-specific self-efficacy and the three dimensions of that. And then the chapter moves into need-based theories. The need-based theories that are discussed in Chapter 5 are Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the ERG theory, the two-factor theory, and the acquired needs framework. The Maslow's hierarchy of needs, for most of us, it's probably not the first time we've seen this, and it's probably not the last time we've seen this. We will see this theory. Maslow thought it was important that people satisfy one need on one level before needs on another level could become important. However, Maslow's hierarchy does not generalize well in other countries. The ERG theory resulted because Maslow's hierarchy was refined and extended upon. Maslow's theory had 5 levels. The ERG theory is only 3. In the PowerPoint presentation, Maslow's hierarchy is found on PowerPoint slide 7. The ERG is on PowerPoint slide 8. ERG theory suggests that one person can be motivated to satisfy multiple needs at the same time, which is the main difference between Maslow's beliefs and the ERG theory. The next theory is the two-factor theory. Now, the two-factor theory really threw me because it started out as an interview of 200 people, 200 accountants and engineers from Pittsburgh. I was not surprised when I found out that this theory was one of the most scrutinized theories in organizational behavior. And it also has a lot of flaws, and the critics have really slammed this theory. And all of that information is included in your PowerPoint. The next theory, which is the acquired need framework, which is around PowerPoint 12 or 13, it's also a need theory. And this theory focuses on the need for achievement, need for affiliation, and need for power in an organization. Basically, it breaks 3 categories up and says people either need to have the need for achievement, affiliation, or power. The need for achievement, that's totally me when I read this. Basically, some of the characteristics are that you set moderate to high goals. You need specific and immediate feedback when you complete a task. You're constantly thinking about work, constantly night, day. You can't leave work at work. You're also not liking to be interrupted, and you tend to be successful, but you can't achieve those top management spots. So as long as I can be successful, I'm okay if I can't get a top management spot. The need for affiliation basically centers around that person that has a strong desire to have those friendships, and they want that reassurance and approval from others. Need for power is exactly what it means. That person wants power. Some of us want power, some of us don't. However, I did find it very interesting that they included that if you wanted power, they gave you ways and tips on how you can be successful at having power. Because we've all worked with someone that said someone else is just power hungry. But it has ways for managers to actually have power and be successful at it. Next, the chapter goes in and the chapter explains process-based perspectives. I do apologize for this net that's in my house. I cannot kill him or get him out. Now we should be around the equity theory around slide 16. The equity theory basically focuses on fairness. It's how you perceive you're being treated compared to other people in similar positions as yours. Equity means you're being treated fairly. Inequity means you're being treated unfairly. Slide 18, I have put in there about inputs and outcomes. The other theory under the process-based perspective is the expectancy theory. Basically, this is your perception of the probability of what effort you put in will lead to your performance, which is your results. That theory was also expanded upon by Porter and Lawler, and they created a totally confusing model. However, they argued that if the rewards are adequate, a person will perform at high levels. And that's totally understandable. If you're going to perform and do your job correctly and you're not rewarded, but the person that's not doing their job is going to get all the rewards, more than likely, you're going to think you're not being treated fairly and you may not perform to the best of your ability. That's what I got from it. You may totally see something different. Do not allow me to confuse you. But those models are found, I do believe, between slides 20 and 22 of the PowerPoint presentation. Then we move to learning-based perspectives. And this should be around slides 23, 24. It, of course, again, the chapter defines most of these terms, if not all of them. It defines learning, and it talks about Pavlov and his famous experience with dogs, and it talks about the traditional view on classic conditioning. However, it was so many problems with that, they just kicked it out and they moved to the contemporary view, and that should be on your PowerPoint slide 27. And like I said, chapter 5 is so much information. You also have the reinforcement theory, which is also known as the operant conditioning theory. And this is talking about behavior and consequences. And it says it suggests that people explore a variety of possible behaviors. And it suggests that behavior is a function of its consequences. Then it moves into social learning. And they suggest that social learning occurs when people observe the behaviors of others and recognize their consequences. And in result, they alter their own behavior. However, they also say in order for you to be able to actually have social learning, it has to be certain conditions. And I found it to be important that they brought this out because it tells me not everyone can learn from society. If you fast forward to PowerPoint slide 33, it tells you those 3 conditions. And then the chapter moves into behavior modification. And that's basically where if you're behaving positively, you get rewarded. If you're not having positive behavior, negative behavior, your manager should impose some type of punishment to stop that behavior. Slide 34 goes into types of reinforcement. It explains positive reinforcement, negative reinforcements. And it also said, and it's also important to note, they said for positive enforcement, The use of rewards increase the likelihood of a desired behavior. However, that reward needs to be as quickly as possible. Then they go into schedules. They have the continuous reinforcement schedule and the partial reinforcement schedule. And right now I should be around slide 36. And I did put information on those schedules. And also they provide information on how to motivate right behavior. Just in case a manager needs to know how to get that right behavior in the organization, it tells them those steps. So, for the discussion board, have you ever been in a situation where you've allowed your perception of inequity affect your motivation to complete a task timely? Please explain your response. I have also included a FYI chart about remembering some information about motivation. And I've also included a pyramid that gives you the basic description of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Thank you.